Are you serious? Are you serious? Guys, are you serious? I'm going to say it again because this is huge. Give it away for free. That's right. Welcome to the new Green New Deal, packaged in a nice little bow called taxes. Okay. And the Janet Yellen, who is of course, the Treasury Secretary, has been arguing for global minimum corporate tax rate. She says that she makes the case for President Biden's plan to raise U.S. corporate taxes to fund his $2 trillion infrastructure plan that has very little infrastructure. Now, why does this matter? Well, convincing other countries to impose a global minimum tax, which she said help reduce the likelihood of U.S. companies moving abroad, because Biden's plan is to raise taxes on U.S. companies from 21 to 28. So how do you think this is going to work? U.S. companies are going to be raised 21, 28, and she's going to convince other countries not to go ahead and raise taxes too to make it fair? I don't think that's going to happen. But let me just say this. She said these words: it is about making sure they're proposing, she said today, that the United States wants to raise our taxes and then give $621 billion of it away to poor countries in what's called the IMF. But where's the money going and what's it for? It's about making sure, she said, that governments have stable tax systems that raise sufficient revenues to invest in, quote, essential public goods and respond to crisis. The key word, essential. What is essential? Number two, what is a crisis? And number three, that all citizens fairly share the burden. Is that really what this tax deal is? Well, they're getting ready for the G20 summit, and we've got to get the real truth of what's happening and how that will affect us. And nobody better than Trade Genius Academy, Bob Kudla. Bob, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Paul. And I read that, and I kind of laughed because immediately after Yellen said that, Joe Manchin came out and said, I and 5 other Democratic senators will not support an increase in the corporate tax rate. But that's not her Trojan horse. Her Trojan horse is to get the other nations to lift their minimum tax rate so that corporations here will pay more of the 21% of the corporate tax rate that's here. So a lot of the multinationals, and it's a bit of a red herring, because how many multinational companies are there, right? So the multinational companies will shop countries and put in subsidiaries that will hold the cash, and then they invest it. They'll either invest it overseas or the subsidiary will invest it here in the United States, and essentially just try to get the best tax deal they possibly can. But I think that's dead in the water. You can see their play is that they're desperate to look for increased revenues. The problem they're going to have is that the wealth tax isn't going to work, the corporate income tax increase isn't going to work, and then they're going to tax the heck out of the middle class, because that's the only place where there's money left. And to break down your quotation marks that you were doing your opening monologue is that the tax harmony, it's none of her damn business what other countries do. They need to make this country as attractive for capital as humanly possible, so that money is invested here to grow our, what they call our capital stock. All we're doing now is we're basically eating the seed corn. We need a Joseph in there versus somebody who wants to basically just eat and eat, drink, and be merry. So that's the one thing. This thing about essential, that's the argument. What is the role of the federal government? We bastardized that ever since we've had a central bank. They weren't unable to conduct warfare, and they were unable to have welfare programs until they installed a central bank. which allowed the governments to overspend to be able to create the dependencies they've had. So you got the neocons depending on war all the time, and you got the welfare people depending on the government handouts. So they just keep redefining what is essential. And the thing about crises, governments only exist because they create crises. And there'll always be a crisis, you know?
But the border's not a crisis. But the border's not a crisis, right?
Unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, look, they just lurch us from crisis to crisis so they can have a reason for being. And, you know, the equitable, look, these guys, they're definitely animal farm. You know, my whole view on these corporate, these global elites is that they want to basically reinstitute the feudal system again. You know, where 90% of or 80% of the world is basically a cog in their production source, and then you have the king and the kingmakers and the protection class, and then the merchant class, and everybody else is a cog. You know, they basically want to create, like, I use the example, Latin American countries are the best example of that because, you know, they went up to the Roman model of, you know, everybody serves the king. And so there's the infrastructure for, it's only good enough to serve the king. Other than that, it's not really there. And they're throwing enough bread and circuses at people to keep them from rioting. And I think they want to do more and more of that. They don't like the fact that many Americans have a voice and have freedom and independence. And we're truly, I think, us, and you can argue Switzerland maybe, that have any kind of democratic freedom, you know, and they're trying like the Dickens to end it here. I think they'll fail, but I think that's their plan.
You know, Bob Kudlow's with us, folks, from TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Bob, you're exactly right. We're the last great hope. I think Ronald Reagan said it. We're the last great hope for democracy. And if you look at it, we're being consumed by China. Literally, it's a war. I think, you know, you could say World War III has begun. It starts with a financial erosion of the American economy, and it will carry over into militarily if they have to. And when you think about it, we seem to have so many. It's as if there's communists in our government, running our government, and because they're principles, and we're talking about whether it be Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi, it seems like all they understand is tax and spend. And they talk about this 21 to 28% tax on the corporations, but as you say, if Manchin and 5 Democrats say no, then it won't happen. So that means everybody's going to turn toward the middle class again and small business again. And they're killing them. They're killing the middle class. They're killing the small business. How do we deal with this, Bob, going forward?
Well, I think it's actually starting to happen, Paul. So, you know, I think they thought they'd have this COVID thing a little bit more in their grip than they do. And I think the crisis outlived its usefulness in the sense that people now are starting to rebel against it. And I think there's another trust issue with the government is gone. So that's the only thing they have to just do, and that's why they're so desperate to hold on to it. You know, so they had, that was the stick. The carrot was get the vaccine, but people are done with it. Look at Texas. Look at Florida. They're proving the lie. Look at Sweden. They can't even say it's the U.S. They look at Sweden. Is that so they're not winning that thing. And then also look at the 60-minute thing against DeSantis. I mean, it's becoming so glaringly obvious that the Democratic county supervisor and mayor of Palm Beach County, had to come and say, this is a total fabrication. It's actually 180 of what was the truth, and we would be happy to have had a retort, but they weren't even interested. So all this stuff is starting to bubble up, if you will, you know, and you look what happened with the Queen and with Piers Morgan. So I think what happened is the left and the woke, they eat themselves off. And I think we don't have to really do anything. I always tell people in January and February were really upset, saying it's over, we've lost, it's not going to happen. And it's really the opposite, is that they had this incredible ability to shoot themselves in the foot, and all we have to do is kind of let them talk, and they're gonna go ahead and end it, and you can see it. So I'm not too worried about that. They're trying to change the voter laws. I think that's going to fail miserably. They're trying to change the tax law. That's failing miserably. They're going to try to bribe people next with all the money. And I think that's going to become problematic because, and I'm just going to be purely political here, when I mean political, I'm going to talk this in a political context, not a moral or a human one. The left likes to view things in race terms, right? So they're trying to shove money into one race. Well, there are Democrats of other races that are in there, and they're going to be like, where's it for my people? And I think by doing this, they're actually going to harm themselves because they've broken the pie up so much that you're going to have this infighting between the thieves. And I don't think they're even going to get the infrastructure thing right. Biden is really upset that no Republicans are going to hop on board. He's trying to push everything through reconciliation. I think a lot of that's going to be litigated, and he's not going to get nearly half of it. And then some of the stuff is just overtly racial. It's going to go to the Supreme Court because, the federal government doesn't get to be racial, right?
No.
They're supposed to be impartial. And so right. I think you're going to see a lot of the stuff get litigated. And so I think they stopped themselves, Paul, in the short answer here.
Folks, Bob Kudla's with us from TradeGeniusAcademy.com, and of course, he's really give it away for free. Give it away for free. Nothing is for free. Okay, I mean, I learned that as I was a child. Nothing's for free, and it shouldn't be. Everything should be earned, and certainly, if you think it's fair to take from one group of people and just throw it at another, that's never worked in the history of humanity. You have to have a balance of how things work. So in the middle of all of this, Bob, the stock market, your job, of course, what you do, and you train people how to see the futures, see what's going on in the market, and be able to make the right trades. And you continue to be very successful. We've got some testimonies of people that are just loving it. Tell us a little bit about what's been going on.
Yeah, so, once we had a sense that, I think the market sensed that Biden was going to win the election actually in September, okay? And in November, when he was indeed elected, I'm not going to talk about it, was it fair or right or any of that stuff.
Right.
It is what it is. And the market changed its tenor. And so the Democrats have this idea of the Keynesian model of economics, which is different than the Republicans are more of the supply side invest model. And so you have to change what you invest in based on that. And also the Green New Deal was such a huge component of what they want to accomplish. So, we quickly shifted over to, you can see the buying power coming into energy names. So energy names became very popular, especially uranium. So we've been trading in the uranium names, and it's been lights out. That story's still good. Next 12 to 18 months. Also, the crypto miners, which are publicly traded, they started taking off in September as well, because Jerome Powell got out there and basically said, I am not raising interest rates. I'm not even thinking about raising interest rates or even thinking about it in a foreseeable future. And everybody said, we're going to have a banking crisis here at some point. So money started moving into the cryptos. Well, that trade has been money for us. And it continues. It's a gift that keeps on giving. Just yesterday we made 10% on a trade in 4 hours, and we're back on the trade. We're back on the trade again today because these internet the Bitcoin miners are, as Bitcoin breaks out, these miners are going to double right along with Bitcoin. So it's an awesome way for people who don't want to be into cryptocurrency, have an account, you can trade cryptos inside the stock market. We'll show you how to do that. Publicly traded companies, and it's just been going really well. That one of the testimonials that you're referring to is it called Mara.
Yeah.
And we just like the fifth or sixth time we've traded it, where people made double digits very quickly. and people making a lot of money on that. That story's not over, Paul. We got another big burst of Bitcoin pricing in front of us here to the fall, and I think people are going to profit mightily if they learn how to trade these crypto miners. The other thing that's happening is that the fertilizer stocks, because the Green New Deal supposedly we're having a climate change that's going warmer, but it's actually getting cooler.
Right.
So we're having problems in some of the ag centers. China's hurting. I know we can talk about it maybe some other time when people think China's rising. China is actually very close to imploding. But they're buying all the food they can around the world, but you're having grain markets that are struggling. South America didn't have a good year. Australia didn't have a good year. Russia killed their export because the Russians aren't stupid. Their scientists are saying global cooling, we'll starve. We better keep grain in reserve. And then the Chinese are buying everything out of America. Well, it's causing a desire for phosphate and potash. And there are very few places around the world that mine it, primarily Kazakhstan and Canada. Well, those mines can't keep up with production, so we've been trading those stocks. So we've been focused on those areas. We're waiting for the general stock market to roll over. At some point, Paul, when interest rates start rising on the 10-year yield, it causes pressure in the stock market. That's what's keeping silver and gold from breaking out, is that the 10-year keeps rising. The minute Powell and those guys decide to call what's called yield curve control, then you're going to see gold and silver go through the roof, and then all the other commodities are going to lift. So that we're taking the Biden administration at their word that they're going to create inflation, and we're going to profit from that so that we're not left behind and destitute. When they say they're going to make it equitable, the poor people get the $1,400 stimulus check, but then they end up with $2,000 in higher energy costs. So they're being part of a magic trick where they're the patsy, but they don't know it, and they think they're being treated fairly, where they're just basically being a frog in a pot. And that's why I despise these people in the sense that they can't be honest with the people who they represent. They have to always tell a deceit to get what they need to get done, because what they're trying to accomplish isn't in the best interest of the people. It's in the best interest of them. But food and energy costs will be their downfall. So just keep an eye on that. But that's what we're doing. We're doing very well. It's the system's an algorithm, Paul. So I'm not in there making this stuff up. I'm just watching, and when buying pressure comes into these names and they start trending, we have a trend algorithm, we have a dip algorithm, and when those both are in agreement, we're in buy mode. And it just keeps you out of trouble, and you just grind your way to profitability and build wealth over time. So it works.
Bob Kudla is with us today, folks. Great information here at TradeGeniusAcademy.com. And you can learn how to trade. You can actually learn how to buy and sell through this program that Trade Genius Academy puts together. You're actually running Easter specials in the month of April, and to really give people an opportunity to get started and get in this. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's president. It doesn't matter what the economy is really doing, because when one thing goes up, something else goes down. You just got to know which way it's going. And Bob, you study not only the companies involved, but you study the weather patterns. And when you see commodities going up or down and shortages, you're able to guide people with your algorithms to make the right trades in the energy sectors or the agricultural sectors. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And one thing I want to make clear too, we educate you, but we also give you access to the algorithm. So, so you get education, you get information, and then we actually even send you trades too. So, so we do something I don't think anybody else does. So, and we're active in the room. So I'm in the chat room all day long. So it's easy for people to get a hold of me. And we trade cryptocurrency. We have a room especially for that. We have a room for stocks, which I participate in mostly. And we have a room for people that like to day trade or want a little bit more interaction. And that's called the VIP room. It's absolutely worth the money. And where we can teach you how to actually day trade in that room too. and trade options. So it's a really good package, and we priced it very fairly, 65% off all for your listeners on the bundle items. So, you catch one or two of these trades that we throw at you, pay for the year pretty quickly. And the rest of the time you're with a lot of like-minded people. We have no drama in our room. Everybody kind of feels about the same about the world. And everybody likes to help each other. The nice thing about trading is it's a win-win. So if I make money, it doesn't mean you lose money. So people readily share with each other and help each other. And, a lot of people of faith are in the room. So faith can be discussed. It's not a censorable item. You can disagree with me and you're okay. So it's everything is good. And all we just ask for people is to be respectful, not a locker room, and you're good to go.
You know what's great about this, and folks, just go to TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Of course, Brock's going to put it on the screen for you. TradeGeniusAcademy.com, and get involved. Get the program, okay? Purchase the program, get the training, get the tools that that Bob actually provides for you. And Bob, if a person didn't know anything about trading and just said, "All right, I'm going to buy the program. I'm going to learn." And then I don't know what I'm going to buy on stock. I'm just going to, whatever Bob tells me I'm going to do for a year. Let's say you didn't pick one yourself. Just said, whatever Bob tells me to do, I'm going to do it. Will they come out all right at the end of the year?
Yeah, they'll win 2 out of every 3 trades. And we're averaging about, 2.5% gain per trade. And we're in the trades for average of 3 days. So depending on how fully invested you are, you can make between 50 and 300% a year. So I never tell people they're fully invested. Just
right.
But you'll do well just following the signals. And my hope is that you'll also learn how to do it. So you're not just feeding off of quote unquote a guru. You want to learn. You want these lifelong skills. Because if you learn how to trade, you're never unemployed.
In other words, you don't want to just teach. You don't want people to just go fishing with you. You want to teach them how to fish themselves.
Yeah, and a guy in one of the rooms said today, he goes, it was gratifying to see that other people throwing trades out, in the room, that have been there for a couple of years, because that means they're able to see what I can see. But I can't see everything, So I always try to put out 1 or 2 trades a day for folks so that they can see it. And then typically if that industry is moving, more than one stock in that industry is moving too. So it works out really well. And look, my goal is, we got to outrun these people. So you got to build wealth. And look, for people that are old enough, my age and older, will totally understand the market we're going into. We're going back into the 70s. Okay, so you remember the 60s with the Nifty 50 stocks?
Oh, yeah.
And then we went from that into the OPEC crisis and all that stuff. Well, that's what's happening now. We're going out of the FANG M stocks, big social media stocks, and we're going into now this heavy spending that we're going to be going, that doesn't have enough productivity or tax revenue. It's going to cause stagflation again. So I call it basically inflationary depression. If you can't make enough money, and they're not going to raise employment wages fast enough for you to stay ahead. So you have to figure out how to position your assets so that you can take advantage of these pulls. And look, some of it's already happened. Look at the price of housing, right?
Yep.
Through the roof. And now food prices, energy prices are starting to get their hooks in. And which is going to raise the cost of living for everybody. So even if you don't trade with me, get to your financial advisor and say, hey, you need to position me here so that I'm not sitting in stuff that's going to roll over. Remember the Nifty 50, they said it would change forever. And those stocks never reached, it took 18 years for them to get back to their top. In the meantime, oil prices went up 400%. Gold prices went to, was it $1,800? You had silver prices for $50. So that's what we're going to see again, because the government is going to spend themselves and they're going to make the central banks support that move, because those guys don't want to lose power, and they're going to try to hang on to power as long as they can. until another Volcker comes along and another Reagan comes along to kind of reset everything in the right direction. So, yeah, so that's kind of where we are, and that's the season. So you have to kind of know the season you're in, right? Yeah. The fig leaf is blooming, Paul.
It sure is. And think about this, folks. And Bob, I was going to throw this out. I remember the 70s, Jimmy Carter, OPEC, energy crisis, 18% interest rates. It was a recession. We went into what Ronald Reagan had to take that on, and he called it Reaganomics. Basically, it took him 8 years to re-regulate the mess they had created. And I was telling, I had to speak last night at there's a Trump club. It's called the Trump Club here in the Villages. There was about 400 some people there. I was one of the speakers, along with Congressman Daniel Webster. And Webster, I felt sorry for him because he took a beating from some of those people. Want to know why, they didn't fight harder to keep Trump in after the election. But my point was to everyone was, look, you can see what's going to happen. This is going to be, in my opinion, Biden's a one-term deal because he's going to make such a mess of it with this crazy AOC Green New Deal socialism spending that just prepare yourself. Don't get all down and defeated. Come roaring back in 2024 because I think it's a Jimmy Carter. We're going to see a Jimmy Carter presidency here, and we've got to fix it by the time 2024 comes around. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, those are the malaise. You remember the term the malaise? Yeah. I remember my first home, 16% mortgage, and I bought it in 1985. And so, you're going to get the malaise. Look, Joe can't inspire people. Angry people don't get reelected, right? So they're angry people, and we're not going to wait till 2024. 2022 is coming around the corner, and I would be surprised if they didn't take back both chambers by then. And then then it's really over for the left until the 2024 election. And you got guys like DeSantis out there and some other people that are looking pretty good. So yeah, you have to have hope. Look, but there's us. We're the productive people, so we're not helpless and we're not hopeless, and then just have to just soldier on. But look, those guys sit back and wait. We take advantage. So that's the winners are out there. They don't let things happen. They make things happen.
And that's what Bob Kudla, that's what you do at TradeGeniusAcademy.com, guys. Go to www.TradeGeniusAcademy.com. You're in control of your own destiny. You can't sit and wait on the government to bail you out or send you a check or whatever. You have to get out ahead of it. That's what I'm hearing Bob say. And what they can do at Trade Genius Academy is they can train you and help you learn to get tools and get the get the education understanding of the economy and how you can be a part of it in trading. And I think that some of you out there, this may be you may be great at it. There's untapped energy out there, Bob, don't you think? I mean, there's untapped potential out there.
I want to encourage also, if you need a Bible, I'd love to send you one for free. Just use this email, MissZD01@hotmail.com. That's MissZD01@hotmail.com. We will send you a Bible for free. So we're anointing prayer cloths. We'll send those to you for free. And if somebody's very, very ill and we need to get them a blanket, we'll anoint it with oil, we'll pray over it, and we'll send it to them for free and believe God for a miracle. And let me just tell you something. If you're going through cancer and you want a chemo cap, we'll give that to you for free as well with your radiation or chemo. Guys, some of you may want to give your tithe and offering. You might have missed it yesterday. Go to paulbegleyprophecy.com. That's www.paulbegleyprophecy.com, and you can give your tithe, your offering, maybe a special donation you feel like giving today. Also, you can text give. Just pick up your phone and text the word give to that number on the screen, 765-327-4200. That's 765-327-4200. And you can text the word give and be a blessing to the kingdom of God and winning souls to the Lord. Also, another way is just write me. Would you just sit down, put a check or money order in the mail, put a nice little letter in there, a note, a prayer request, whatever the Lord lays on your heart, send it to Paul Begley Prophecy. That's Paul Begley Prophecy, 1048-B, Sagamore Parkway West. That's 1048-B for the blessings, Sagamore Parkway West, Box 33, West Lafayette, Indiana. That's West Lafayette, Indiana, 47906. Or pick up the phone right now and call. You can give your offering right over the phone, or you could place an order for coffee or some of the silver products. Do it now.